Alright, I got a request to do a video on my Leachianus container that I built and be a little bit more specific. I've got an earlier video I did where I talk about it, but I don't think I go into great detail on how to build it. And so all I did was I got a 40-gallon breeder and it's turned on its side. So this would be the bottom and I've just turned it up. You can do this with any size aquarium. You could do it with a 20-gallon, you could do it with a 50-gallon, you know, whatever. But a couple things about it. This cage is turned up and there's nothing special on the bottom to make it sit flush. You know, the thickness of the top material and the bottom material is the same, and so if you take these basic aquariums and just turn them up on their side, they sit level. So there's nothing special to do to the aquarium itself. The only thing that really has to be done is the front casing has to be built, and that's actually incredibly easy to do. And all you really need is some silicone and a tape measure and a hardware store like Lowe's or Home Depot, any of those places. So what I used was silicone 1, clear, it's waterproof, it's 100% silicone. You want to make sure that it says on there somewhere that it is 100% silicone. You don't want any type of additives in it, no type of antifungal agents or, you know, antimicrobials or any of that stuff. And you can get this at Lowe's, you can get it at Home Depot, you probably could even get it at Walmart. If you can get a smaller tube than this, if you're only building one cage, that would be better, because you really don't need that much of this stuff. And you're going to need a tape measure. So all you're going to want to do when you've got your when you have your aquarium is the only measurements you really need to take are from here to here, and these have a little inset inside them. There's kind of a corner there, and your glass is going to sit down inside that corner. And so what you want to do is you want to measure the distance from the inside of one side to the other side, and then you want to get that exact measurement. And all I did was I subtracted about 1/8 of an inch. And so once I get that measurement from here to there, I'm just going to subtract 1/8 of an inch, and that's going to give me the clearance so that this thing slides in there really nice, and that's how I'm going to get my width. Now, as far as how I measured the door, it depends on how you want it. See if I can measure this exactly. I made my door, looks like I made it about 20 inches long, not quite 20 inches. And I did that, I probably just chose that arbitrarily, and I made this bottom glass part, looks like I made it about 10 inches. But all I did was, I've got the width of my container measured, and then I just chose a height. And you go to Lowe's, and just go to a Lowe's with a list of your pieces of glass and the dimensions you want them cut, and they can cut them exactly, probably all the way down to a 1/16 of an inch. Now, this bottom section is totally secured, and what I mean is it's silicone sealed all the way around, and so it's waterproof and it's not going to move, it's not coming out. And the way you do that is real simple. You just take your silicone and you just run a bead all the way around, and then you set your glass in there and you let it, you know, harden, you let it get secure, and then you just run another bead on the outside. So you run a bead down and then you just smooth it out with your finger, and that makes it look nice. It's just like if you're caulking your bathtub or anything like that. And so you've got silicone on the inside of the glass, and that silicone is holding the glass to the aquarium, but then you also have silicone on the outside. Now when you're putting your glass in, you don't want the aquarium to be sitting upright like it is now. When you're setting your glass and siliconing it, you want it to be laying like normal. So you want it to be over on its side, just like it's designed to be, and that way you're putting the glass down on top. And then when it's all hardened and dried and set, then you can set the tank up right. Now, how you do the hinge, this right here is just a cabinet hinge. So it's just a cheap cabinet hinge that you can get at Lowe's. They come in lots of different colors, and this is what you call a continuous hinge because it's very long. Instead of having like a door, door hinges, you'll have like 3 to a door or 2 to a door. This is just a continuous cabinet hinge. That one right there is, let's see, looks like a 12-inch hinge, and you can get different sizes. But notice the hinge doesn't have to go all the way across the glass. And all I did there was I just, with the aquarium sitting the way it's designed to sit, so the glass being put on top, I just ran a bead of silicone on the glass on both sides, and then just set the hinge down on top of it and let it dry. And then this hinge is siliconed to the glass. Use silicone. Don't try to use any kind of glues or anything like that. Silicone's going to be the only thing that works. Now, how did I secure the top? I used just little, I don't know what you would call these, just little locks that you would use. And you can get these at Lowe's. And all I did was I took the catch and siliconed it to this top piece of glass. You could use glass here, or you could use plexiglass. If you want to drill holes, if you want to have some ventilation up top, I recommend you don't put your ventilation at the bottom. Put it up top. You can get plexiglass. Just make sure that you drill pilot holes. So get a very small drill bit and drill little holes, and then get you a larger drill bit and come in behind that, because if you try to just run a big drill bit through plexiglass, it's going to bust. And I would also recommend, if you're going to do that, then just drill the holes before you install the glass or the plexiglass. And so anyway, so these latches are what I got. They're probably not the most beautiful thing in the world, but again, they're just siliconed. And so you use that 100% silicone and put you a couple of beads of it on there. Press this down. It holds really well. Now, the way I ventilated mine, I used a piece of glass up top, and I just left a space. I knew there were going to be leachies in here, and they're really big. So that right there is about a 1/2 inch space in there. And then I've got about a 1/4 inch space here. And that's plenty of ventilation. The humidity stays where it should be. You don't want too much ventilation. And I installed this top piece the same way as the bottom. I ran a bead of silicone down each side, and then I put the glass over top of it, and then I ran a bead over the top and smoothed it out with my finger. And that's really it. You're going to need to let the thing cure for probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 days. You want all that silicone smell. Once you get to the point where you can't smell that silicone anymore, then it's okay. You do not want to put your animals right into this enclosure right after you've created it, because the silicone, the fumes will still be in the air, and that can be very, very harmful. So, quick recap. Take your tank, turn it up on its side, get your glass cut at Lowe's or Home Depot. Using a cabinet hinge here, and using just a couple of latches, and all that you can get from Lowe's. Real simple stuff. Make sure you're using 100% silicone, no additives for antifungals or antimicrobials.